I declare to you, brothers and sisters, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God, nor does the perishable inherit the imperishable. Listen, I tell you a mystery. We will not all sleep, but we will all be changed. In a flash, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. For the trumpet will sound, the dead will be raised imperishable, and we will be changed. Zombies have become a popular film genre. Since 1920, where the first zombie films were produced, 600 zombie films have been produced, and more than half of them have been produced in the last 10 years. But why? Why have they become so popular? What fascinates us so much about these monsters? First off, it is not only the monsters themselves that fascinate us, but the world that they inhabit. Zombies' natural habitat is the apocalyptic world, the last times, the end of time. And we must note the significance of this. Apocalypse is a word that we inherited through the Christian tradition. Originally in Greek, it means revelation, an unveiling, and zombies themselves, of course, place on the Christian notion of the resurrection of the body. But it's the absence of any divine revelation, any apocalypse, so to speak. Instead, we are resurrected to a life of mindless, rotten feeding. And it is precisely we. What makes zombies interesting is that they are us. They are humans, and we are the monsters. They are our own terrifying fictional self-reflection, which makes them worthy of an investigation. Their origin being the inversion of the Christian apocalypse, not a resurrection to life, but a resurrection into death, is the point of departure for this horrible exploration. We will explore the characteristics of zombies and how their appearance and way of life, or way of death, if you will, symbolically matches the world that we live in today. We will look at these 5 characteristics of the zombie and the symbolic significance, namely their lack of self-reflection, their unending hunger, and the fact that they are infectious. And we will look at how the appearance of the zombie opens up the binary state of being alive onto a spectrum. And lastly, why only humans become zombies. Firstly, zombies are mindless. Though they are our own fictional self-reflection, they wholly lack self-reflection. Thus, the classical Cartesian criteria of realness is lost. They don't think, therefore they are not. Realness is inextricably bound to self-consciousness since Descartes, at least for most people here in the West. Secondly, the zombies have an unending hunger. They want to feed on all living, and especially humans. This could symbolically be explained by our sickeningly and ever-expanding consumerism, whose hunger can never be satisfied but must always have more and more and more. But this, I think, is not the truest explanation, as consumerism also only is a symptom for an underlying sickness, a sickness of the soul perhaps, a sickness perhaps best explained by what the next characteristica touches upon. For thirdly, zombies are infected and also infectious. You can't touch them, for whatever they touch becomes infected, yet they hunger for all that has not been touched. They want to touch, and even more. They want to eat the uninfected, the healthy ones. They want to eat the living, but most of all, humans, the most real ones, that pass the Cartesian test of realness, for they still have the ability of self-reflection. The zombies crave the real, but can never have it, as that touch makes everything unreal and dead. We must note their affinity for eating brains, their favorite food, the creme de la creme. They literally crave mind, the brain, our instrument of connection and self-reflection. They want meaning, realness, connection, but can never achieve it, as their touch spoils all things. And we sense that desperation but pointlessness, the tragic but absurd nature of the zombie.
Brains.
Brains only.
Yes.
Why?
The pain.
What about the pain?
The pain of being dead.
The zombie has the wrong method. It tries to have mind, but mind is not anything to be had, but a quality of being, something that must be lived. It's something cultivated, not acquired, something we are one with, yet haven't eaten. They're lost in the wrong mode of being, where they confuse and conflate having from being, as we want to be happy from having nice cars, or as we confuse having a girlfriend with being in love. And consumerism is just part of this. It's a whole jam of my life starts when I have my job, a girlfriend, the money, etc. But it never starts, and we will mindlessly chase life, but in the end it is futile, for it is not something that we can hold down and possess. And their greedy and craving touch symbolize this. All they touch becomes worthless and dead, and reveals the inherent emptiness behind the short burst of satisfaction from any acquisition, and also that they have lost touch with life, as they lost life with touch. Touch being the key marker for our sense of realness. It is the loss of connection to the real that is the hallmark of the zombie. It is the emptiness, the lack of being that is the corruption, and which makes them the walking dead. Fourthly, the simple presence of zombies break down our binary understanding of living and dead. They make us question what it means to be fully alive and what it means to be dead. For they are not quite alive, and yet not quite dead. And so, if life and death is really just the extremities of a spectrum, where are we? Are we truly alive? Or perhaps more dead? And as a fifth point, we can note a negative characteristic of zombies. Animals never become zombies. Zombies are never animals. They're not on the aforementioned spectrum, which reveals a terrifying truth about us humans. It is our very intellect, our rationality, the thing that makes us human, all too human, that can become antithetical to life. What makes you truly human? Perhaps it is your ability to be rot-maxing in your room in a perpetually spiraling depression. The most ungodly sight is perhaps what makes you truly human. And in many ways, this is the West today. And tell me what you think of this take. It's the story of the West, Christianity. Our old narrative of the world and of life has collapsed under its own weight, under its own burden of truth and honesty. The mythos that upheld meaning and life has broken down, and now we're drifting helplessly on the sea of truth. The revelation turned out to be the most nightmarish of them all. There is nothing to be revealed. Everything will just continue on endlessly, totally meaningless and absurd. A fact in tune with the zombie movie. Sure, the movie ends, but there is no conclusion. Just the continually ongoing of survival and search for meaning in an inherently empty and meaningless universe. This is a hallmark of any zombie movie that separates them from other monster movies. It poses no solution. There's nothing to do, unlike other tragedies where we, as the viewer, can feel superior by knowing what he or she did wrong and what should have been done. The zombie movie gives no sense of superiority. It is inherently absurd. There's really nothing to do, no solution, no meaningful or rational action left to do. We have lost our grip, our touch. Why indeed should the characters continue on living? And some simply kill themselves. And why not? We know not, for we have lost the meaning of life, the cohesive narrative that makes it all meaningful. As a character remarks in The Walking Dead,
We are the Walking Dead.
Walking on in a meaningless universe. What is then the difference between the zombies, the infected, the Walking Dead, whatever we should call them, and the characters yet not infected? Perhaps it's that the characters, the humans, still possess their mind. They are self-reflective. They see the truth of their situation, the hopelessness, the absurdity, the meaninglessness. But despite it all, they go forwards. Some days Sure, they are depressed and hopeless, they stumble and they argue, but they continue forwards. And perhaps this is the true mark of being alive, of being human, striving, advancing, longing, for no one knows what. And it is perhaps not important, for the truly alive strive forwards despite it all, as if deep in our being, with every beat of the heart, resound the words, nevertheless. Thank you for watching.